Hello, and thank you for the opportunity to speak today about the work that MAF continues to do around the world during these times of pandemic. You may recall that we are a Christian organisation, flying light aircraft into very remote parts of the world to reach isolated people, often in deepest human need, with all that they need for help and hope and healing. Taking God's love and the good news of Jesus Christ. That short video we've just watched reminds us that isolation may be new and strange to us, but for many around the world it is quite normal. Now, due to the virus, every country we fly in, as you see on this map, 27 countries in all, it's different in each one, but generally our service to people is severely affected. Distancing is almost impossible for aircraft passengers and crew in light aircraft, but we're fitting screens where we can to provide a measure of protection. Even just flying freight can be problematic due to local travel restrictions in place. Medical emergency flights, medivacs, as you see here, are usually allowed, however, so we're still flying where we can. We work with over 2,000 organisations around the world, and the work of our partner organisations is badly affected too, of course. Some of them you see on this slide here. However, most of the people serving with MAF and their families have remained in place and are ready to resume operations once restrictions are lifted, as they do their best to protect themselves, their colleagues, their families, and the local people. They're experiencing many of the same restrictions and frustrations as we are, although the circumstances in which they live are very different to the ones we live in. Medical services in developing countries can be very varied, very limited, and quite scarce. And there are real concerns should the virus gain a stronghold amongst the populations. On a practical level, MAF's income from payments from customers and partner organisations for the services and the flights are quite reduced. And although our actual flying costs such as fuel are reduced too, aircraft still need to be housed, insured, maintained and serviced. These costs do not go away. Our staff need their income, and the local people we employ need their income to look after their families. And although we as an organisation have taken measures to weather this financial storm, our reserves are not limitless. One positive is that where they can, our teams are carrying out all the necessary servicing on aircraft whilst flying is reduced. I'd like to tell you a brief story from Papua New Guinea. This concerns the Moorhead district in the western lowlands of PNG. For years, the medical teams there have been under-resourced, under-trained, and have felt very unable to provide the level of care to their patients that they would like. Their morale has been very low. Then, with the virus hitting them, they were doing their care with little knowledge of what to do. No personal PPE, no protection. And their morale dropped even lower. So on the 10th of May, MAF were able to fly an aeroplane with a team from AHP, Aerial Health Patrol, to this area. We carried health workers, PPE, equipment, medical supplies, medicines, all that was needed to carry out training, hold clinics, carry out immunisations, perform infection control training, family planning advice, snakebite treatment, all that was necessary for the medical workers there. Their fears were relieved, their spirits were raised, confusion was removed, patient care was hugely improved, and the correct treatments given. Our country director, Todd Abisher, explained it this way: one of our priorities is to ensure that MAF doesn't transport coronavirus to the communities that we serve and love so much. We're being very careful in following government guidelines. These include making sure we properly sanitise our aircraft, as you see on this picture, observe social distancing, wear face masks, and monitor passenger health. That's a story from there. Another story or two from South Sudan. We were recently able to fly virus test samples to Juba on behalf of the World Health Organization so that they could be analysed and the results made known. We carried out a number of cargo flights for our NGO partners, carrying soap and hand sanitizers and locally made masks to areas of great need. In Madagascar, in a town called Petroka, there was a malaria outbreak recently. 80 under 12-year-olds died and a number of adults, and we were able to fly a medical team who performed training and teaching and used the medical supplies that we took with them to treat this outbreak, reduce it and eliminate it. Perhaps I can ask you to continue praying for the work that MAF does. Prayer is so important. That God will spare the poorest and most vulnerable from the effects of the virus. That many will turn to Him during these times of uncertainty and times that are frightening. And that God will protect and sustain the work of MAF and our partner organisations and those who serve with us in each country. Now, we'd love to give you the opportunity to find out more about MAF and to best experience our work in various countries in which we operate. And you can do this by following the link on the screen. It will allow you to sign up for our Discovery Air Pass journey. Come fly with us from country to country. Find out what it's like to live and work and serve in some of the most isolated places on Earth. Every couple of months, you'll receive, free of charge, a series of communications featuring background, news, stories, interviews, and interesting facts about the countries in which we fly. That'll enable you to pray actively for our work. You will help us to continue the vital work we do for the poorest, most isolated people. People who may be isolated from most of the world, but are not forgotten, and who don't have to be isolated from Jesus Christ. So, thank you for listening. I wish you well, stay safe, and goodbye.